there was a small village nestled at the edge of an ancient forest. A forest so old that no one could remember when it was first planted. The trees were enormous, their twisted roots forming natural arches that seemed to reach toward the sky. The villagers told stories of the forest, warning outsiders to never go too deep into its heart. They said the trees whispered at night, and if you listened long enough, they would speak back. Lucas was a curious man, new to the village, and not one to believe in superstitions. He'd heard the stories about the forest, but dismissed them as nothing more than local legends. One evening, as the sun set and the golden light turned to eerie twilight, he decided to explore the woods. He stepped into the forest, the ground beneath him soft and spongy from the damp earth. The deeper he ventured, the darker it became, the trees closing in on all sides, blocking out the last remnants of daylight. The air grew colder, and the wind started to whisper, carrying voices just out of reach. At first, Lucas thought it was just the sound of the breeze through the branches. But then he heard words. "Turn back." It was faint, like a soft murmur, but unmistakable. He paused, heart racing, but shrugged it off. "Just the wind," he muttered to himself. Yet the whispers grew louder, more insistent, like hundreds of voices speaking at once. "Turn back! Turn back!" Lucas looked around, but all he could see were the towering trees, their bark gnarled and twisted, their branches reaching out like skeletal hands. He felt something watching him, but he wasn't sure from where. His breath quickened and the hairs on the back of his neck stood up. He turned to leave, but the path he had taken seemed different now. The trees too close together, the shadows too deep. Then the whisper stopped. Silence, the oppressive kind that smothered every sound, every thought. It was then that Lucas realized he had lost his way. The path he had followed had vanished. He was surrounded by nothing but the endless silent forest. Suddenly, a twig snapped behind him. He spun around, but there was nothing there. He began to walk faster, almost running now, his heart pounding in his chest. His breath came in ragged gasps as he pushed through the underbrush, hoping to find his way out. But the deeper he went, the more disoriented he became. The trees seemed to move, shifting positions, bending toward him. The path ahead became an impossible labyrinth. It was then he saw it. A figure, cloaked in shadows, standing among the trees. Its face was hidden in the darkness, but Lucas could feel its eyes on him. The figure beckoned, and without thinking, he stumbled forward, his body moving of its own accord. As he neared the figure, the whispers returned, louder this time, almost deafening. "Join us!" they chanted in unison. Before he could react, the figure reached out, its fingers cold and skeletal. He tried to pull away, but its grip was too strong. It dragged him forward, deeper into the forest, where the trees grew even more twisted, their bark now black as night. Lucas struggled, his breath turning shallow, but it was no use. The whispers grew louder, suffocating him. And then everything went still. The last thing Lucas saw was the figure's face, pale, hollow eyes staring into his soul as the darkness consumed him. The next morning, the villagers found the forest quiet, the trees swaying gently in the wind. But there was no sign of Lucas, only his footprints leading deep into the woods, and then nothing. They say if you go into that forest at night, you can still hear the whispers, the trees calling to you, beckoning you closer, tempting you to join them in their eternal silence. Some say they still speak Lucas's name,